Okay, so this is the coffee enema from start to finish video. We're going to cover how to actually make the coffee for the coffee enema, how to load the bucket and to get the coffee flowing through to start it, to get the pump primed, so to speak, on the actual enema kit. And I'll actually be doing the enema, and then I'm also going to cover cleanup. These are all questions in the group that are there, but they're kind of fragmented where there's files that you can read. You can use the search feature in the group. We recommend that highly, but we thought it was really needed and overdue to have a video from start to finish. So this is what you need then to start. You're going to need a measuring cup. You're going to need coffee, and the coffee that you need to have does not have to be enema specific coffee. Some people like to use enema specific coffee, but it is not required. What is required is that you have organic coffee, and that the organic coffee is either light or medium. If you have medium coffee, the medium coffee is going to be not as much of an intense caffeine as the lighter coffee will be. So I have light organic coffee in here, and this is just basically an airtight stainless steel container that I have. You want to make sure that you store it appropriately. So again, you need the measuring cup. You'll need to have coffee, which we just covered. You are going to need to have a pot, and the pot that you have must be stainless steel. It's very important to be stainless steel because you don't want to have an aluminum pot, because when you boil the coffee, then you'll be absorbing the toxins from the aluminum, and you don't want to put aluminum in your body. Lid for the pot. You want to have a strainer. You want to use a stainless steel strainer, and you don't want to use cheesecloth. Some people have been confused in the group to put coffee filters or cheesecloth to strain the coffee. If you do that, what you're going to be doing is straining out the important palmitic acids and the acids of the coffee. So you want to make sure to use the strainer then instead of cheesecloth. So really important. And get a fine mesh strainer just to make sure that straining is as easy as possible, so that you're not, because you don't want to get any coffee grinds into the solution. And the last thing you need is a measuring spoon. So you will want to make sure that you have distilled water. Very important, you can't use tap water. And then now we're going to cover making the coffee. And making the coffee, it's kind of referred to as cowboy coffee. There's a certain way that you make it. A lot of people in the group have asked, can you make it with a French press? Can you make it in your coffee machine? Can you use a Keurig? You know, all of those things. So we don't recommend that at all. That's not the proper way to make the coffee for the CE, because you want to be able to do the particular process of cooking the coffee so that the oils will come off. And the oils will cook off, and then everything will get distributed as far as the palmitic acid. So it's very important to cook the coffee correctly. So, all right, so let's go ahead and start. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to measure out your distilled water. So on this Pyrex cup, I like it just because it has the indications here. So again, what you want to do is put in distilled water, 4 cups, 32 ounces, 1 quart, 1 liter, all the same thing. And I should note, I am making 1 coffee enema today. This recipe is for 1, but in the files section, you will find a recipe to make condensed coffee if you want to make more than 1. Okay, so we have 4 cups, 32 ounces, 1 quart, or 1 liter of distilled water. Then you want to measure out the coffee. Again, you want to use organic, light, or medium coffee. And what you want to do is, for the 4 cups, 32 ounces, 1 quart, 1 liter of water, distilled water, you want to put in 3 tablespoons of coffee rounded. So here we go, we have our 3 tablespoons. We're going to put in 1, 2, and 3. So we have it. And we're set. So now what you want to do is cover the pot. We're going to put it on the stove, and we are going to let this come to a boil. Once it comes to a boil, we're taking off the lid, and we're going to boil it for 5 minutes. Then once 5 minutes elapses, what you're going to do is take it off the heat and put it on the lower heat, and you want to simmer for 15 minutes. So we'll come back when all of that's done. Again, you want the coffee to boil uncovered for 5 minutes to begin with. Here we're counting it down. Got about 2 minutes left. We are almost there, and there we go. It's been 5 minutes. Now we're moving the coffee, and you'll want to simmer the coffee. I'm gonna stir it first with a stainless steel spoon. Simmer the coffee next for 15. So we turn that heat down. Before we had it about a 5. Now we have it, put it about low. And then we're going to go ahead and start 15 minutes. Oops. Okay, 15 minutes. So letting the coffee simmer for 15 minutes. Can't really see it cool down there, but it will. Simmer for 15, and then we'll be ready for the next phase, which will be straining and cooling. Okay, so while we are waiting for the coffee to finish simmering for 15 minutes covered, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the importance of the red catheter that we talk about in the group all the time. There are so many reasons why this is important, and you'll see this graphic in the group a lot as well. So there are many reasons why this is important. One is just safety. To illustrate this, I have a ripe banana. Okay, so if you take the ripe banana, and we've got it here, and we've got the catheter, you can kind of push on it and poke on it. It's not going to be that bad, but if you have the attachment that will come most likely with your enema kit, focus that in some cases, so it's just a hard plastic. Okay, I just went right through the banana where you can see here the end. So you'll have either this tip usually comes with your enema kit, depending on which one you get, or there's this softer one that's a silicone one. And let's see how this does on the banana. So same thing, first it went off it, but you can go through it. So this is definitely a lot more pliable, because I can't take this and bang this on the counter. I can take this and bang it on the counter, and then I can take this and bang it on the counter. So it's just a matter of the damage. Here, this was the hardest one here on the end that's coming off, but so that's why it's so important. So, and again, this banana represents your colon, so you want to be as gentle as you can with it. The other importance is because you want the coffee solution to get to the correct area, and this again explains that. So basically what it is this is showing the red catheter here going in, and you want to put the red catheter in 6 to 8 inches. Most people don't know how long is 6 to 8 inches, and you're not going to want to put the whole thing in. The easiest thing for people is just to measure and then mark it off. So here I have a measuring tape. So again, I only want to put in 6 to 8 inches. I've got it here measured here. Put it down, and then I'm just going to use a little hair clip. You can use whatever you want if you need to do this. So I have it measured off 8 inches. And here you go. So you're going to only want to insert from this point in up until here. You don't want to put the whole thing in. So the fact that it goes in so far, you can imagine with this and this obviously is not going to get in the appropriate 6 to 8 inches. And this isn't either, because it's just here, very on the bottom, small here. These are only what? Maybe this is 2 inches, maybe this is 3 or 4. So it's not going to get where you need it to do the best things for your body and for the whole purpose of the coffee enema. So you want to put it in here, and then the red catheter here in 8 inches. And just read a little bit about it. So the distance from the anus over the bump where the hemorrhoidal vein is located 5 to 6 inches. It's important to get past that so the coffee absorbs into the vein system, which begins past that point. Another important thing too is to lie on the right side. So why lie on the right side? You want to lie on the right side because it lets gravity do its job. And then in this document, or this diagram here, it shows the purple veins on the right side of the colon, and then this facilitates the coffee going to the liver quickly. So that's why you're on the right side, is because that's where the hemorrhoidal vein is. And then basically that's going to facilitate the caffeine getting to the liver. So it's very important to use the soft red catheter, not the hard tube that comes with the enema buckets. So now that just kind of gives you a visual though of how much more gentler it is to use the catheter. And again, people are intimidated because it's very long, but you're not putting the whole thing in. You're only putting up to here, and you won't be able to feel it. It's not bad at all, especially compared to these. You know, you can definitely feel these in because of the texture of them and then also the size of them. So our coffee is actually going to be done simmering, which is again the second step, in just a couple of seconds here. So when that is done simmering, I'm going to go ahead and take it off. It's almost set here, and then we're going to be on to our next step, which is letting the coffee cool. And I'm also going to be measuring it out for that purpose. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and clean up the catheter, and then we'll be all set. Taking the coffee now off the heat, uncovering the coffee, and we'll be back for more. Okay, so now we are on to our next step, which is to drain the coffee. The coffee is still hot. It is going to be cooling down, but I want to go ahead and show you guys how to strain the coffee. So I'm just stirring it with a stainless steel spoon on the stove. You want to have something to measure in, and I like this measuring cup because it has the spout here, and because it is 4 cups, 32 ounces, 1 quart, 1 liter, all the same thing, and that's what you need to make 1 enema. So go ahead and put this on here, and then we have our fine mesh stainless steel strainer. And then I just have a mason jar, and the mason jar here, it says it goes up to 24 for this third line, so all the way up to the top, that will be 32 ounces, 4 cups, 1 liter, 1 quart, all the same thing. So I just need to fill this all the way up to the top. So here we go. Have our hot coffee from the stove. Our hot coffee solution. We can go ahead and pour it in here. To our fine mesh strainer. For me, I just like to get all that palmitic acid out, so I'll go ahead and take the spoon, get all the coffee grinds out, just because again, I want my most bang for my buck when I'm doing this to get the most benefits. Just kind of push the coffee grinds down, and you can see a little bit of the solution will drip out. So we've got everything out completely. So then we're going to want to go ahead and just fill this up all the way to the top, and that will be for 1 enema. Just be very careful pouring. What will happen is some of the water will evaporate out, so you're not going to have the full 1 liter, 1 quart, 4 cups, 32 ounces, which is fine in this case. It's almost here to the top, but something that is very important here is all the palmitic acid that's in the bottom here. I don't know if you can see that or if it's focusing on it here. So this needs to go in here. So since I need to put more distilled water in here to make it the full amount for the coffee enema, I'm just going to go ahead and take some distilled water, put it in here, and then I'm going to circulate it around here, kind of swirl it around just to make sure that all those palmitates get in here, and then pour it in. And there you go, you can see. Now they're gone. Okay. And I'm going to do it just again because it's not all the way up to the top, and again, up to the top is where I want it to be, which is again 4 cups, 32 ounces, 1 quart, 1 liter. So let me go ahead, I'll put it in here. Just to make sure I have all the palmitites out of here. And there we go. So now it's all the way up to the top. So we know that this is completely ready for placement in the enema kit. What you're going to want to do though is make sure that the temperature of the enema though is the appropriate temperature. So I added in some room temperature water That will cool the solution down a little bit, but you want the enema to be, you'll experiment with it and see what works for you. Some people just put their pinky in there to see. For me though, I like to be able to check the temperature itself. So what I've found is like 108, 110 is good for me, but you don't want it to be too cold, or you won't be able to, you'll have issues holding it, and you don't want it obviously to be too warm because you don't want to burn your colon. So we're going to go ahead and measure it here. And this is just a meat thermometer. You can use any thermometer that you have that's accurate. I'm not going to use this until it's cooled down. So when this temperature has went down from it's about 130 to 108, 110, then it's ready for use. So in the meantime, I'm just going to go ahead and wait for this to cool down. Okay, so while we wait for the enema solution to cool down, I just wanted to show you the area where we'll be performing the enema. Usually I like to lay in here. It's a nice garden tub that I have, and I'll lay in there and I'll have 2 pillows and this towel on the top, and I'll kind of prop it up on the side. It's kind of nice and cozy because it's a garden tub, so it's very large. But for purposes of being able to show you guys what's going on today, I just have my yoga mat on the floor here, my 2 towels, my 2 pillows, my towel, and that's it, and I'll be set. So you want to hang the bucket 12 to 18 inches above you. So if you have a tape measure, if you're not sure what that is, you can get it and line it up. So here's where I'm going to be, and it should be the bottom, no more than 12 to 18 for the bottom. So right here, this hook here, it's going to be perfect for me because it's about 12 to 18. Might even be a little bit short, might be more like the 12, but this will be sufficient. You don't want it to be too high, because if it's too high, it's going to rush in too fast, and then you'll have issues with cramping. So you definitely don't want to have it too high, because if you have it too high, then you're going to have issues with the coffee solution flowing in too quickly, and then you'll have cramping. Another thing I want to cover with you is, as far as for the catheter, as far as insertion, I just have coconut oil. You can use whatever oil works best for you. I just take a little bit, put that coconut oil on a Kleenex here, and then I am all ready to go. So now that we're ready, let's go check the coffee and see if it's cooled down. Okay, so now that the coffee solution has cooled down enough, we're going to go ahead and put it into our enema bucket. So basically, you'll have a bucket or you'll have a bag, depending on your choice. It's going to have a tube. So we'll go ahead and put everything together as we talk about it. Tube just goes on here to the end of the bucket. Then we have our catheter, which we cleaned earlier, so it's all set. And your tube should have a connector on the bottom of it here, so that it will easily go into the end of the red catheter. It easily goes on there, and then it's not coming off. It's tight on there, so you're good. Then again, we want to measure out on the catheter the appropriate size of the length of the distance that it should go into the colon. And that again is 6 to 8 inches, and if you're not sure, there's no shame in measuring it out like I do. Got it here, got something to mark off 8 inches, and then I'm good. So something that's really important is you want to make sure to close the clamp, because if I don't close this clamp and put the coffee in, it's going to go all over. So now you basically just take the bucket, we're going to put the coffee in here. And I did kind of fill it kind of a lot in here, so it's going to be a little bit difficult getting it in, but here we go. Just go ahead and pour it straight in. And then as you pour and as it cooled off, you're going to have the palmitic acid in the bottom, so you don't want to just shake your jar to make sure that any palmitic acid that's settled on the bottom gets into the solution. Just kind of swirl it and dump it in there. And then you know it's good because it's out of here. So now you want to prime the pump, get the coffee in the tube. So we have our bucket. I'm just going to go ahead and put it up here higher. Because again, this is all based on gravity as far as how the solution goes through the tube here. So we have our tube on tight, we have our clamp closed, and then what you want to do is you want to just go ahead and open the clamp just enough to get the coffee to flow a little bit out here, and then close it off. You want to do that because you don't want to have any air bubbles in the tube, because if you have air bubbles in the tube, it's going to get in your intestines, and that's going to cause gas and have pain, and it's going to be uncomfortable. So here we go. So we have it. We have the switch. Just going to go ahead and open it. You see the coffee flowing out, and there it is coming out the bottom. Just turn it off, and then we're set. So now we are all set to do our coffee enema. Okay, so the coffee has cooled down. We have loaded our bucket. We primed the pump. We are all set. So I have the coffee, and again, I'm going to hang it here, which is going to be 12 to 18 inches above my body. I have some coconut oil that I just wiped down this Kleenex here. Here's the coconut oil here. And you can, it's up to you if you want to put coconut oil on the catheter to lubricate it, or you can, some people just dunk the tip of the catheter actually in the bucket, and that's enough lubrication. It's totally up to you. So hopefully I'll be able to do this okay with just shorts. So what we're gonna wanna do is you wanna lie on your back. You wanna insert the catheter 6 to 8 inches, and again, I have it marked off here for 8 inches. So you want to put it in up until that 6 to 8 inches point. Then once it's inserted, what you're going to want to do is lie on your right side. And again, the reason why we want to put it in 6 to 8 inches is because there's a bump inside the colon, and you want to get over that bump so that you're able to get the CE, the coffee solution, to the appropriate area so that the caffeine through the portal vein gets to the liver, where it'll circulate every 3 minutes. And we're going to hold for 15, so it's going to circulate every 3 minutes to clean your liver and your blood. So it's really important that you want to get in the appropriate distance, and you want to lay on your right side because that's where your liver is. So we'll go ahead and we will start. Okay, so I have coconut oil. I'm going to put it on the bottom of the catheter here, like so. I'm all set there. And I also want to kind of put it on the opening of the anus too, just to kind of give it an idea of what's coming here and kind of prepare the area. So I'll go ahead and do that. Take the catheter, and you can put it in with both hands. It's probably easiest. So you're just going to want to go ahead and put it in till you get to that 6 to 8 inches. And this is harder to do with shorts. You're not going to be wearing shorts when you do this, but okay, so we're over the appropriate area. We are all set. I'm going to go ahead and turn on my right side. I'm going to go ahead and open the valve, and that will start the coffee flowing from the bucket in. So I'm not sure if you can see the solution going in. And if it's too much and if it's flowing too much, you can always just close the pump like I just did here. Close the switch rather, and then leave it open. Again, the coffee is flowing in. It's at the appropriate 6 to 8 inches. I'm going to close it, just kind of give myself a little bit of a break. It's kind of a little bit much. Open it again. And there's different theories for how long, or different speculation for how long it actually takes with the fill. Sometimes it's maybe up to 4 minutes, up to 5 minutes, up to 15. It all depends on the person. Okay, I've got it open again. It's flowing in. I'm going to take a break, and I'm just going to kind of swirl it here just to get the palmitic acid in the bottom all set up. Open it again. Coffee is flowing. And you'll also just want to make sure that the catheter hasn't slipped out a little bit. Make sure if it has, just push it in to make sure it's in all the way. That's 6 to 8 inches again where it should be. Coffee is still flowing. And again, temperature is so important. You don't want to have it be too hot or too cold. It'll be very hard to hold if it's too cold. And if it's too hot, again, you're going to hurt your intestines. So I just close it there, so now I have it back open again. And I'll do that periodically throughout, just kind of open and close, depending on if it gets to be too much pressure, or if it's feels like it's filling too quickly. And again, putting it in because the soft catheter, it's not painful at all. It has the coconut oil on the bottom that's lubricated, so there's nothing painful about this at all. Yes, there's a learning curve, and yes, it's going to be odd at first, but once you do it and you have the feeling after of it, and you get into that zone where it's just, a good experience, then you'll feel silly for, being afraid of it in the first place. And so many people it's helped, or it's not, it's helped with cancer therapy. So if you look up Gerson therapy, you'll find all about where this came from. So I'm still filling. I'm not keeping an eye on the time, but I have a feeling it is getting to the end. Again, I'm lying on my right side. Still flowing through. Okay, and then now here you see how it is finally going down to the bottom here. It's very, very, very slowly going in. So in this case, just to speed things up for the purpose of the video, and because it's at the end and it's taking so long to flow in, well, there we go, you see it going down. So it could be raised up a little bit higher just to get it to go in. So that's actually what I'm going to do. I'm okay. I've picked it up, and here you can see. Here it is going through. And this is just kind of the end of the way that I'll fill it. You see I have it held above me. You can see the coffee solution going in. Coffee solution is filling. Filling, filling, filling. It's at the end here. And then what I'll kind of do at the very end is just kind of pinch the tube to get the very last parts in. Guess I'll do this from the back way. Again, I usually don't do this on camera, but here we go, it's filling. So now just need to take the catheter out. Solution is in, and as I'm taking it out, I'm just kind of pushing it a little bit on it. Inevitably, a little bit of the coffee comes out, so I have it here with the coffee. Have it on my towel here. Wipe off my hands here, and then now what happens is you're going to want to start timing, because now is when the 15 minutes starts. I usually use my cell phone, but in this case I'm going to use my watch since I'm recording this on my cell phone. Okay, so now we are waiting now for 15 minutes. So this part is where I'm going to get up actually and get the camera off, but you guys get the point. So what'll happen is, I'll talk for a little bit. So what'll happen is I'm holding for 15 minutes, and again, you want to hold for 15 minutes because the caffeine will circulate through your blood and through your liver every 3 minutes. So if you do it for 15 minutes, you have quite a few cycles where you're actually cleaning your blood and cleaning your liver. So you want to hold it as long as you can, and there are different techniques and different ideas for as far as for holding. Some people read, some people meditate, some people don't have their cell phone by them. One of the acupressure techniques that I do, if it gets to be like too intense, is you take your thumb and your ring finger and just kind of like pressurize this way. For me right now, I've done this so much and I'm used to the amount, I'm used to the amount of the coffee and everything, and I'm used to holding it, so it's not an issue for me. Sometimes I'll notice if I eat certain foods, it'll be harder to hold than other times. But the important thing is you want to try to hold for the 15 minutes as long as you can, because then you're getting maximum benefit. So then obviously when the 15 minutes is done, I'll be moving to the toilet there. Everything will be evacuated out, and then I'm going to go ahead and clean my equipment, and I'm going to show you how to clean the equipment too when I'm done. Some things just now while I'm thinking about it, as far as when you are evacuating, some people have issues where they think that there's still more in, they think that they haven't gotten it all out. Some people say that you can go ahead and you can rub here to try to, as you're on the toilet, to rub to try to get that liquid out. It's a common thing that happens to a lot of people. That's called clutching. It doesn't happen every time, but it probably will happen to someone at any point in time when you do it, if you do this enough. One of the things that my friend says in the group a lot is that they're a coffee enema, they're like no two the same. So there's just lots of different things that you're going to experience as you go along the way. And is it going to be hard in the beginning? Is it going to be difficult to, to get all the steps down and everything? Does the coffee take a long time to cook? Yes, on all of those things, but again, the benefits are so worth it. And then if you happen to feel the benefits and you notice the benefit from it, you will want to continue doing it, and you won't want to not do it. And for me, I've been doing them for a long time, so now it's just kind of second nature to, okay, I'm going to boil with the lid off for 5 minutes, then I'm going to simmer for 15, and the whole procedure is something that is not something that I dread. It's something that I look forward to because of the fact of I know how I feel after. I know the health issues I've had. I know the benefits of doing the coffee enemas. I know what benefits it's made in my life. So it's time that's well spent and well invested. Something here that I'm thinking about that I could also talk about is the fact of once you make the coffee solution, in the files there's a recipe rather for the concentrate solution, but if you make the solution like in advance, you can only store the coffee in the refrigerator for up to 48 hours. If you store it for longer than 48 hours in the refrigerator, it's going to get mold on it. So you essentially, if you're committing to this and you're doing a coffee enema every day, you're going to be making the coffee every 2 days or every 48 hours. So I'm trying to think of what else. I think that's probably it for now. So I'm going to go ahead and handle the end of this here when 15 minutes is up, and then I will see you guys back again for the actual cleaning of the equipment. Okay, so now we are at the very final step, which is to clean our enema equipment. So I have a sponge, gloves, and obviously this is separated from the kitchen sponges, so we'll have that. And then as far as what to clean it with, you want a gentle cleaner. So this is Castile soap concentrate. So I'm going to use that to clean, just so that it's very nice and gentle on the tubing and environmentally safe. So the first thing you'll do, that I do, is just take off the catheter. You really can't see actually what I'm doing. There we go. Just bit of a soap here on the catheter. We're cleaning it. Run some water through it. Hopefully you can see it. Being run through. Paper towels that are sanitary here. So the catheter goes here. Then I'm going to take the tubing and bucket, disconnect that. And then I have a little bit of coffee in here, so you want to make sure to try to get all of it out when you do your enema. So I'm rinsing the bucket. Have my sponge. There we go. The Castile soap, so I'm just going to go ahead and clean the bucket. And then I'm going to rinse it. Same thing now with our tubing. Kind of put the water in one end, and you can see the coffee coming out, running clear. So now I put everything back together again. So hooking up the tube, hooking up the catheter. And then I'm just going to take very hot water, and I'm going to put some Castile soap, here we go, in the water. Fill it all up then. Then I have the valve open. It's not going to go anywhere because it's based on gravity again. So we have the soap in here, and then I'm just going to go ahead and run that hot water through. So you can't really see, but I'm lifting it all the way up so that it runs through. So this is just cleaning everything out. So, and I'll just let that run through all the way. So that all the soap runs through completely. Clean your tubing. And you will want to do this after each enema. Make sure everything's cleaned out and sanitary. Again, it's just all the water running through. The water with the Castile soap in it. It's quite a bit to hold it, so I'm switching arms. Towards the end here. So to make it go faster, I'm just holding it really high so that it goes too fast, and then there you go. Now it's all went through, and now you want to rinse. First I'm just going to rinse the bucket. Rinse the end of the bucket of just hot water. And then the same thing as before, but now it's just water, and I'm just going to let it run through so that it's rinsing out all of that soap that's in there. So you just want it all to rinse all that soap out. Keep rinsing. Tube all the way, lift up all the tube. What I would do now is disconnect everything. So then you would disconnect the catheter, dry off the bucket. I store the catheter in here. I take the tube off, and then I just go ahead and take the tube and then hang it. Once I dry off the outside, I'll go ahead and just hang it over like a shower rod or something like that, just so that it dries. But for right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a deep clean, which you want to do the deep clean. I do it every week. You'll see what's right for you depending on how often you do the enema. So for the deep clean, you would just get hydrogen peroxide. So I just have this 3% hydrogen peroxide, just a Walgreens brand. So first what you want to do is obviously close the clasp here so that it can't get out. And then you'll want a measuring cup, and you want to measure out 2 cups of the hydrogen peroxide and put that in the bucket. And this is just going to sterilize it more than just the soap. And you don't need to do this every time, but just like once a week or so, I just like to do it, give it a deep clean. Okay. So then once you have it in here, now what you're going to do is just like how we did before with priming the pump. You're going to want it to actually go through the tube so that it can clean out the tube. So we've got it elevated a little bit. I've got the clasp here. I'm going to go ahead and open the clasp just until the hydrogen peroxide. There we go. You see how it's dripping out the bottom? Close it off. So now what I'll do is I'll just take it, kind of wrap the tubing around it, put the catheter in here to sterilize too. And then I'll go ahead, I don't know if you can see that yet, you can see that. So then I'll go ahead and I'll leave that then to sterilize then overnight. So then in the morning what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and rinse everything with hot water. So you'll want to rinse the tube obviously to get all the hydrogen peroxide out there before you do your enema, and you want to rinse the catheter as well. So, and I think that is about it. So again, this step is only about once a week if you want like a real deep clean on your equipment, and if you start noticing the tube starts to kind of get stained from the coffee and everything, you can replace that tubing. Obviously you can replace it. I think I usually do like about every 3 months or so. Catheter, same thing. You'll notice that it's a little too pliable, so then you'll know it's time to replace it. But deep clean, again, I'll do that once a week. Otherwise I'm just washing everything with the Castile soap, and then it is good to go for the next morning. So basically that is it. Please make sure to utilize the search feature in the group with any questions that you have. You can make comments on this video, but the best way to get your questions answered is to use the search feature first to see if there's an easier and quicker way to get the answer to your question than posting the question and then waiting for a response. If you use the search feature, chances are the question that you have is going to be a question that somebody in the group has asked tons of times before, so then you're going to go ahead and get your answers that way faster than posting and waiting for the answer back. So that's it.
The most